Woman, hear me when I tell you this. You were never designed to shatter so that everyone else could stand tall. You were not created to bleed endlessly while others thrive on your sacrifice. Too often, you have carried burdens that weren't yours, fixed wounds that weren't your responsibility, and poured out of a cup that was already running dry. There is nothing holy, nothing righteous, nothing noble about destroying yourself in the name of saving others. You cannot rescue anyone while you are drowning. You cannot heal anyone if you keep neglecting your own soul. Some of you are broken in pieces because every time someone came to you with their emptiness, you gave away fragments of yourself. You handed out your peace to calm their storms. You surrendered your joy to ease their sorrow. You silenced your dreams to amplify theirs, and now you are left wondering why you feel empty, unseen, and forgotten. Woman, your worth is not in what you sacrifice, but in who you are. Your value is not measured by how much pain you can endure for the sake of others. Your identity is not defined by who needs you. It is defined by who you are when no one else is pulling on you. I will not be broken to fix what is not mine to fix. It's time to set boundaries because boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. It's time to walk in wholeness because wholeness is your birthright. When you stop breaking yourself to fix others, you finally discover what strength really looks like. Strength is not destruction. It is preservation. Strength is not depletion. It is discernment. Strength is not giving until you're gone. It is knowing when to say no so you can keep saying yes to what truly matters. You were not created to destroy yourself for the survival of others. Let that truth sink deep into your spirit. Care enough because for too long you've been carrying the weight of a lie. Too long you've been told that your value rests in how much of yourself you can give away, how much of your strength you can pour out, how many battles you can fight for people who would not lift a finger for you. Hear me. Your soul was not designed to be dismantled piece by piece just to keep other people standing tall. There is a difference between giving and destroying. There is a difference between love and losing yourself. There is a difference between sacrifice and self-destruction. And too many times we blur those lines, and when we do, the cost is heavy. We give until we are empty. We carry until our knees buckle. We hold everyone else together while silently falling apart. But I came to tell you this: God did not place you on this earth to be a savior to everyone around you. You are not the healer of every wound. You are not the answer to every problem. You are not the glue that holds every broken soul together. Yes, you can love. Yes, you can support. Yes, you can be a vessel of encouragement and strength. But you cannot and you must not destroy yourself to keep someone else alive. Think about it. Even when you are on an airplane, the instruction is always the same. Put your own oxygen mask on first before you help the person next to you. Why? Because if you cannot breathe, you cannot help anybody else breathe. If you suffocate, you become no good to the very ones you are trying to save. That principle doesn't just apply to airplanes, it applies to your life. If you are constantly suffocating, constantly exhausted, constantly drained, all the help you are giving others comes at the price of your own survival. Some of you are living in cycles of depletion. Every time somebody calls, you show up. Every time somebody demands, you give in. Every time someone needs fixing, you break yourself down to provide the pieces. And slowly, without realizing it, you've lost yourself. Your dreams are buried beneath their demands. Your peace is drowned out by their chaos. Your voice is silenced under the noise of their needs. True love does not ask you to lose your life in order to prove its worth. True friendship does not require you to abandon yourself just to stay connected. True responsibility is not measured by how much of yourself you sacrifice, but by how much of yourself you preserve. Because when you are whole, you are strong. When you are steady, you can actually give more, serve better, and love deeper without being destroyed. Too many women, too many men, too many hearts are living broken not because of what was done to them, but because of what they keep doing to themselves. They keep giving out of an empty well. They keep carrying what was never theirs to carry. They keep trying to save people who are determined not to be saved. And in the end, it is not strength that's left. It's weariness. It's bitterness. It's a soul that has been stripped bare. You have permission to stop. You have permission to rest. You have permission to draw the line and say, I will no longer destroy myself for the survival of others, because survival is not the same as thriving. And if all you do is survive for the sake of everyone else, you will never taste the abundance of life you were meant to live. Yes, it feels noble to give everything you have, to pour out until you are empty, to constantly be the strong one, the fixer, the rescuer. There is nothing noble about a broken vessel that cannot hold anything anymore. There is nothing noble about exhaustion that leaves you unable to rise. There is nothing noble about a sacrifice that strips you of your very identity. You must reclaim yourself. You must reclaim your peace. You must reclaim your joy. You must reclaim your rest, because when you are full, you can overflow. When you are whole, you can carry others without collapsing. When you are healed, you can touch lives without reopening your own wounds. Stop apologizing for protecting your soul. Stop feeling guilty for saying no. Stop thinking that boundaries are selfish. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They are the fences that guard the garden of your peace. They are the walls that protect the temple of your body and mind. They are the lines that keep you whole so you can keep living the life you were meant to live. You were not created to live broken. You were not designed to be a sacrifice for every person who refuses to take responsibility for their own healing. You were not meant to spend your days patching up everyone else while you fall apart behind closed doors. So today is the day you declare no more. No more breaking myself to fix what is not mine to fix. No more destroying myself for the comfort of others. No more abandoning myself just to be accepted, just to be loved, just to be needed. Because the truth is, those who really love you will never ask you to destroy yourself for them. Those who truly value you will never expect you to lose yourself in order to keep them whole. And those who genuinely care will celebrate your wholeness, not drain it. So rise up. Rise into strength that doesn't destroy you. Rise into love that doesn't consume you. Rise into giving that doesn't strip you bare. Rise into a life where you are no longer breaking yourself just to keep others alive. Because you too were created to live. You too were created to breathe. You too were created to be whole, strong, joyful, and free. And until you believe that, always be tempted to destroy yourself for the survival of others. Self-neglect in the name of compassion is not noble. For too long, many have worn exhaustion as a badge of honor, believing that running themselves into the ground for others is proof of love, loyalty, or spiritual strength. But let me tell you, there is nothing heroic about abandoning yourself just to rescue everybody else. There is nothing righteous about giving away your peace until you have none left. There is nothing holy about destroying yourself in the name of compassion. We live in a world where people will applaud your sacrifice, yet never stop to ask about your suffering. They will celebrate the way you pour into them, yet never notice how empty you've become. They will thank you for your compassion, but never acknowledge the toll it has taken on your mind, your health, your dreams, your very soul. And somewhere along the way, you begin to believe that maybe this is who you are meant to be. The one who always gives, the one who always bends, the one who always breaks. But hear me, self-neglect is not love. It is not virtue. It is not noble. Bondage disguised as compassion. You cannot call it love if it leaves you lifeless. You cannot call it kindness if it crushes your spirit. You cannot call it compassion if it erases who you are. True compassion builds, it doesn't break. True compassion flows from strength, not weakness. True compassion gives life, not drains it. And if what you call compassion is stripping you of your peace, your identity, and your God-given worth, then it is no longer compassion. It is destruction. Many of you have been trained to believe that to love others means to ignore yourself. You've been taught that to be strong is to never rest, that to be kind is to never say no, to be compassionate is to endure every burden no matter how heavy. But let me remind you, even the strongest structures collapse when the foundation is neglected. Even the most beautiful gardens wither if they are never watered. Even the most compassionate heart will break if it is constantly ignored. Self-neglect is dangerous because it doesn't happen all at once. Creeps in slowly, hidden under words like duty, service, and sacrifice. At first, feels noble to stay up all night helping others while you suffer in silence. At first, It feels righteous to give away your last ounce of strength while refusing to admit your own weariness. At first, it feels honorable to place everyone else's needs above your own. But little by little, you lose yourself. You wake up one day and realize you no longer recognize the person in the mirror. You realize your laughter is gone, your peace is gone, your fire is gone. All that remains is an empty shell of who you once were. But I came to tell you that you were not created to vanish inside the lives of others. You were not called to erase yourself for the sake of compassion. You were not designed to carry every burden while neglecting your own soul. Compassion should never cost you your wholeness. Service should never strip you of your strength. Love should never demand that you lose yourself. Yes, gives. Yes, compassion sacrifices. Yes, kindness requires effort. But hear me, sacrifice was never meant to be suicide. Giving was never meant to be the abandonment of self. True love does not ask you to destroy yourself in order to keep it alive. True compassion does not demand that you bleed endlessly so someone else can breathe. True kindness does not erase your name from the story of your own life. Self-neglect also blinds you to the reality that you are setting an example. When you constantly destroy yourself in the name of compassion, you are teaching those around you that it is acceptable to exploit your love, to drain your strength, and to treat your sacrifice as an entitlement. You are showing others that your needs do not matter, that your boundaries do not exist, and that your worth is measured only by what you give away. You must rise and declare my value is not in my neglect. My worth is not in my exhaustion. My identity is not in how much of myself I can lose for others. Compassion must flow from a place of fullness, not emptiness. You cannot truly love others if you do not first love yourself. You cannot pour into others if your cup is dry. You cannot heal others if you are bleeding inside. You cannot lift others if you are constantly falling apart. True compassion begins with wholeness because only the whole can give without being destroyed. Setting boundaries is not cruelty. It is wisdom. Saying no is not selfish. It is stewardship. Taking time to rest, to heal, to grow is not neglect of others. It is obedience to the call of living a healthy, purposeful life. When you protect yourself, you are not rejecting others. You are preserving the very source that allows you to keep giving. It is not selfish to step back. It is not selfish to say, I need rest. It is not selfish to say, I cannot carry this for you. It is not selfish to say, I matter too. That is not selfish. That is survival. That is self-respect. That is truth. Because when you rise whole, you serve better. When you are strong, you help more effectively. When you are filled, your compassion overflows. Stop calling self-neglect compassion. Stop calling exhaustion love. Stop calling your slow destruction sacrifice. Passion that kills you is not compassion, it is captivity. Love that silences you is not love, it is control. Service that empties you until you are nothing is not service, it is slavery. Rise and reclaim yourself. Rise and say, I will not neglect who I am in the name of compassion. Rise and declare that your needs matter, your voice matters, your peace matters, your rest matters. Rise and walk boldly in the truth that the world does not need a broken version of you. It needs a whole, strong, vibrant, powerful you. Because when you are whole, your compassion has depth. When you are healed, your love has power. When you are full, your service has meaning. And when you stop neglecting yourself, you finally step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. Your worth is not defined by what you sacrifice, but by who you are. Too many people live under the weight of this lie, that the measure of their value is found only in what they give up, what they endure, what they are willing to lose for others. For generations, sacrifice has been glorified as the ultimate sign of love, loyalty, and strength. While sacrifice has its place, hear me when I say this, your worth is not built on how much of yourself you can burn away. We're living in a culture that celebrates exhaustion, that claps for brokenness, that calls self-denial a virtue even when it leaves a person empty. You are praised when you put everyone else first. You are honored when you silence your own dreams to make room for the dreams of others. You are celebrated when you give up everything you love for the sake of proving your love. But when the applause fades and the crowd disperses, you are left weary, forgotten, and uncertain of who you are without all that sacrifice. If sacrifice alone determined worth, then the most exhausted, the most broken, the most depleted among us would be the most valuable. But that is not true, because when you are broken beyond repair, you cannot shine. When you are emptied of all strength, you cannot rise. When you are constantly giving without ever being whole, you cannot truly live. Your worth cannot be measured by sacrifice, because sacrifice without identity is destruction. I challenge you who believe the only reason people keep you around is because of what you do for them, what you give to them, what you sacrifice for them. You've convinced yourself that if you ever stop giving, if you ever stop sacrificing, if you ever say no, then you will no longer be valuable in their eyes. But let me tell you the truth. Anyone who only values you for what you sacrifice never valued you in the first place. The danger of tying your worth to sacrifice is that you will always believe you are not enough until you are empty. You will always push yourself beyond the breaking point, thinking, if I just give a little more, maybe then I'll be loved. If I just endure a little longer, maybe then I'll be accepted. If I just lose myself completely, maybe then I'll finally matter. But what kind of life is that? To believe that the only way you can be valued is by disappearing piece by piece. That is not love. That is not strength. That is not purpose. That is a slow death. And let me remind you, purpose is not found in depletion. Identity is not found in denial. Destiny is not found in destruction. You were created with inherent worth. Before you sacrificed a single thing, before you gave a single gift, before you carried a single burden, you were already valuable. Your worth was written into your very being. You do not have to prove it. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to buy it with your pain. Sacrifice may be noble when it flows from strength, but when it flows from insecurity, it becomes toxic. When you sacrifice because you fear rejection, that is not love, that is desperation. When you sacrifice because you are trying to prove your value, that is not compassion, that is bondage. And when you sacrifice because you have been taught that your only purpose is to give until you're gone, is not destiny. That is deception. Yes, there will be times when sacrifice is required. There will be seasons when giving is necessary. There will be moments when you lay something down for the sake of love, for the sake of family, for the sake of a higher calling. Hear me. Those sacrifices do not create your worth. They do not increase your value. They do not define who you are. They simply reveal what already exists in you: strength, love, courage, and character. Your worth was set long before any sacrifice. It was spoken over you when you were created. It was sealed in you before you ever gave anything away. You are valuable not because of what you surrender, because of who you are at the core, your heart, your soul, your identity, your presence in this world. And if you never sacrificed another thing, you would still be worthy. If you never gave up another piece of yourself, you would still be valuable. If you never carried another person's burden, you would still matter. Because your worth does not rise and fall with sacrifice. It remains unshaken because it is rooted in who you are. Some of you need to stop measuring your life by how much you've lost and start measuring it by how much of yourself you've kept. Some of you need to stop tying your identity to what you've given away and start embracing who you are when no one is pulling on you. Some of you need to stop believing the lie that sacrifice makes you valuable and start walking in the truth that you were valuable before you ever sacrificed a thing. Do not let people manipulate you into believing that you must constantly give up pieces of yourself to be loved. Do not let society convince you that your exhaustion is proof of your worth. Do not let guilt drive you into living broken just to be accepted, because your worth is not defined by what you sacrifice, but by who you are. So today, reclaim yourself, reclaim your voice, reclaim your joy, reclaim your peace. Stand tall and know that even if you never gave another thing away, you are still enough. Even if you never sacrificed again, you are still valuable. Even if you chose to rest, to protect your soul, to preserve your wholeness, you are still worthy. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred tools for preservation. Let that truth rest in your spirit, because for far too long you have been taught the opposite. You've been told that saying no makes you unkind. You've been told that stepping back makes you disloyal. You've been told that protecting your space means you are cold, distant, or selfish. But hear me today. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are fences to keep destruction away. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. Boundaries are not selfish, they are sacred. There is a false teaching in our world that the more you bend, the more you allow, the more you endure, the better person you are. People will applaud your endless giving even when it is killing you. They will praise your self-denial even when it is draining you. They will celebrate your open hands even when those hands are trembling from exhaustion. And if you dare to step back, if you dare to set a line, if you dare to say, I cannot carry this anymore, suddenly you are accused of being unkind, unloving, and selfish. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred tools for preservation. Preservation of your mind, preservation of your spirit, preservation of your purpose, preservation of your identity. Because if you do not protect yourself, no one else will. If you do not guard your peace, the chaos of others will consume you. If you do not respect your own limits, people will trample over you until nothing remains. Let's think about it this way. Every home has doors. Every garden has a gate. Every city has borders. Why? Because what is valuable must be protected. Not everything and everyone is allowed to come in. Houses have locks. If nations have borders, if treasures are kept in vaults, why would you believe that your life, your heart, your soul, your energy should remain unguarded? You are more precious than gold, more valuable than diamonds, yet you live with open access, allowing anyone to walk in and take what they please. That is not compassion, that is neglect. And that is why boundaries are sacred. Without boundaries, your life becomes a free for all. People come in, take what they want, and leave you empty. They use your time, your energy, your kindness, your resources. And when you finally collapse, they move on to the next person. But boundaries stop that cycle. Boundaries teach others that your life is valuable, that your time is meaningful, that your energy has worth. Boundaries say, I will give, but not to the point of destruction. I will help, not at the expense of my soul. I will love, but not in a way that kills me. There is nothing selfish about that. In fact, it is sacred because preservation is not about shutting out the world. It is about making sure you remain whole enough to show up in the world. Boundaries keep you from drowning in everyone else's ocean. Boundaries stop you from burning out in everyone else's fire. Boundaries ensure that you are still standing, still alive, still strong enough to fulfill the purpose you were created for. Let's be honest, people who call you selfish for setting boundaries are often the ones who benefited from your lack of them. They are not angry that you said no. They are angry that they can no longer exploit your yes. They are not upset that you need space. They are upset that they can no longer invade it. They are not disappointed that you have limits. They are disappointed that they can no longer ignore them. But their disappointment is not your problem. Their anger is not your burden. Their disapproval is not your responsibility. You do not exist to be consumed. You exist to live. Some of you are carrying bitterness right now because you kept giving without boundaries. You loved until it hurt. You served until you collapsed. You gave until you were empty. And now you are angry, not because you gave, but because you gave without preserving yourself. I came to tell you today, you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to draw the line. You are allowed to say, this is as far as it goes. That does not mean you are cruel. That does not mean you don't care. That does not mean you lack compassion. It means you have finally learned that your life is worth protecting. Boundaries also protect relationships. Without them, resentment builds. Without them, turns toxic. Without them, kindness turns into exploitation. But when you set healthy boundaries, you create space for relationships to thrive with mutual respect. Boundaries teach others how to treat you. Boundaries show others what is acceptable and what is not. Boundaries turn chaos into order, exploitation into balance, and destruction into growth. Even in creation, there were boundaries. The sea was told how far it could go. The sun was told when to rise and when to set. The earth was divided into seasons. Everything God made was placed within boundaries. If creation itself requires boundaries to function, how much more do you? Without boundaries, there is disorder. With boundaries, there is balance. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred tools for preservation. They preserve your joy. They preserve your focus. They preserve your peace. They preserve your identity. They preserve your ability to love without resentment, to give without being drained, to serve without being destroyed. Stop apologizing for setting boundaries. Stop feeling guilty for saying no. Stop believing the lie that protecting yourself means you are unkind. Because the truth is, without boundaries, you cannot survive. Without boundaries, you cannot thrive. Without boundaries, you cannot fulfill your purpose. So today, rise with boldness and declare, my life has value. My heart has worth. My soul deserves protection. I will no longer give everything away until I have nothing left. I will no longer allow people to take advantage of my open gates. Will no longer live without boundaries, because boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred tools for preservation. True strength is wholeness, not depletion. For far too long, strength has misrepresented, misunderstood, and misdefined. We've been told that strength is the ability to endure constant suffering without complaint. We've been told that strength is staying on your feet when you're breaking inside. We've been told that strength is carrying everyone else's burdens while ignoring the weight crushing our own souls. That is not strength. That is survival. That is not power. That is exhaustion. That is not wholeness. That is depletion disguised as virtue. Real strength is not measured by how broken you can become without falling apart. Real strength is not defined by how many battles you can fight while bleeding silently. Real strength is not proven by how long you can run on empty. Real strength is wholeness. It is being complete, steady, and preserved even while facing life's storms. It is standing firm without losing yourself. It is giving without self-destruction. It is loving without erasing your identity. Some of you have been praised for your depletion. People clap for you because you are always the one holding everything together, even when it is killing you. They honor your sacrifice, but never notice your suffering. They cheer your strength, but never see your tears. And in your mind, you've equated strength with exhaustion, believing that as long as you are tired, broken, and drained, it must mean you are strong. Hear me today, strength is not depletion, strength is wholeness. Let me explain. A broken vessel cannot hold water. A weary tree cannot keep producing fruit. Drained soul cannot pour into others, yet somehow you've been convinced that as long as you're still moving, still giving, still carrying, you are strong. True strength is not in constant motion, it is in balance. True strength is not in endless giving, it is in sustained wholeness. True strength is not in ignoring your needs, it is in honoring them. Depletion is not strength because depletion eventually destroys. You can run on empty only for so long before you collapse. You can fight without rest only for so long before you break. You can give without replenishment only for so long before you have nothing left. And when that happens, you are not stronger, you are gone. You are not victorious, you are consumed. You are not powerful. You are powerless. Wholeness, on the other hand, gives you endurance. Wholeness gives you longevity. Wholeness allows you to rise again and again without losing yourself in the process. Wholeness means you are not fractured within, even when life tries to press you from every side. Wholeness means you know how to rest, how to restore, how to say no, how to preserve your peace so that your yes is powerful when you choose to give it. Some of you have been living in depletion for so long that you don't even know what wholeness feels like anymore. You've been so busy holding up everyone else that you've forgotten what it feels like to stand steady for yourself. You've been so consumed with being strong for others that you've ignored the cracks forming inside you. And you've convinced yourself that this is what strength looks like, breaking quietly while standing publicly. But no, that's not strength. That's depletion. True strength doesn't require you to collapse in secret while appearing flawless in front of others. True strength is consistency. True strength is alignment. Your inner self matching your outer self. True strength is wholeness, where you are not hiding behind exhaustion, masking your brokenness, not disguising your depletion as resilience. True strength is when you can stand complete, healthy, balanced, And whole, even in the middle of life, is battle. Strength that is rooted in depletion is temporary. It burns bright, but it burns out. It impresses people, but it destroys you. But strength rooted in wholeness lasts. It flows steadily. It stands firmly. It continues long after applause fades because it is not powered by depletion. It is powered by preservation. And let's be clear, wholeness does not mean perfection. It does not mean you will never feel tired, never feel weak, never face trials. Wholeness simply means you refuse to let trials strip you of your identity. It means you are not fractured within yourself. It means you know how to pour into your own life as much as you pour into others. It means you recognize your limits and honor them. It means you protect your spirit, your peace, your mind, and your joy because they are sacred. Wholeness is strength because wholeness allows you to give from abundance, not emptiness. It allows you to serve from fullness, not lack. It allows you to love from health, not desperation. When you are whole, your yes is not forced, your no is not guilt-ridden, your love is not manipulative, your compassion is not destructive. When you are whole, everything you give is pure, powerful, and sustainable. Depletion, on the other hand, breeds resentment. It makes you bitter about the very things you once loved to do. It makes you angry at the people you once loved to help. It makes you weary of the purpose you once felt passionate about. Why? Because depletion strips the joy out of giving. Depletion turns love into obligation. Depletion turns compassion into slavery. Depletion turns strength into weakness. But when you choose wholeness, you choose joy. You choose balance. You choose preservation. You choose to stand in a place where your strength is not measured by how broken you can be, but by how whole you remain. So stop glorifying depletion. Stop wearing exhaustion like a crown. Stop thinking that your worth is in how much you can lose before collapsing. That is not strength, that is slow destruction. Instead, start pursuing wholeness. Start prioritizing restoration. Start valuing peace, rest, healing as much as you value hard work, sacrifice, and effort. Because true strength is not found in how much you can endure without breaking. It is found in how well you preserve yourself while enduring. True strength is not in how many battles you fight. It is in how many times you come out whole. True strength is not in depletion. It is in wholeness.